Hello and welcome to the channel, and I'm here for an album review for you guys. Now for this review, I'll be reviewing an album by the legendary thrash metal band Megadeth, and the album that I'll be reviewing is their album Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Now, it is interesting that I haven't reviewed this album already on the channel, since this is one of the most popular Megadeth albums, and it's one of their most successful albums, of course. And this album is regarded as one of their best, and I do agree that this album is one of their best. It's probably my second favorite Megadeth album, just behind Rust in Peace, of course, which to me is maybe my favorite thrash album of all time. Now, there are some people that I do know that actually like Peace Sells more than Rust in Peace, which is kind of surprising, but even though that's something that I don't agree with, it's also something that I can't argue with, because Peace Sells is definitely a very close second for me. I mean, if someone wanted to say that this was one of the best thrash albums of all time, I couldn't argue with that, because it's just a fantastic album. Of course, you know, it's got the whole band just doing a fantastic job at doing what they do on this album. The album is obviously a classic. It came out in the 80s, and there's a reason why this album is considered one of their best, for sure. Of course, you know, you got some of their best songs on here, like the opening track, Wake Up Dead, which is just awesome. It's an awesome track, probably one of the best Megadeth songs of all time. Of course, the places it goes musically, especially with the guitar work, it's thrashy, and it's not that long of a song, but it definitely does enough to keep you invested in listening to the song, and solid album opener for sure. The Conjuring is not one that I return to very much, but it's not bad. Of course, the next song is Peace Sells, which is one of the biggest songs on the album. It's often regarded as a lot of people's favorites on the album, and it's probably one of my favorites as well, for sure. And I mean, it's very catchy. I mean, it's got, you know, Dave doing these verses where he's asking these questions, of course, those iconic lines that every Megadeth fan knows, and that's just really catchy, you know, like, what do you mean I did this, and why this and that, you know, all around, really great song. But next we got the song Devil's Island, which is probably one of the most underrated songs from this album. I think the whole band does a really great job at what they do. It's very energetic. I mean, there's not really much to say about this one, but I think it's a highlight. But next we got Good Morning Black Friday, and this is definitely one of my favorites on the album. It's probably another one of the most underrated songs from this album, if not the most underrated. Structurally, it's pretty interesting, especially with the places it goes musically. It's pretty dark at times, and it has this menacing vibe to it as well, and I think this song just has a lot to offer, and if you haven't listened to this one in a while, definitely go back and listen to it. It's a really great song, and personally, it's one of the highlights for me. And then we got Bad Omen. Again, not really much to say about this one, but again, not bad. I Ain't Superstitious. Probably the weakest point of this album, but again, not bad. But the closing track, My Last Words. Now this song, again, there's not much to say about it. It is just kind of like a standard thrash metal song, but I think it does a good job at everything that it does. I mean, the whole band really does shine in this song, but it's hard to say who shines the most because, of course, the guitar work is fantastic. Dave Mustaine doesn't sound too bad in this song. Now, I know some people don't really like Dave Mustaine as a vocalist. I think there's some people that say that, you know, he should have never been a vocalist, but you know, I think he does a pretty good job. I mean, I wouldn't consider him one of the best vocalists of all time or anything, but I think he does a pretty good job at what he does, even if he's not one of the best vocalists. But yeah, so My Last Words, pretty solid album closer. I think it wraps up the album very well, I think. Most of the tracks on this album are fantastic. Some of Megadeth's best work is on this album for sure. I mean, if you're a thrash metal fan, you've got to check out this album if you haven't heard it already. I'd say that this is maybe an essential thrash metal album. And of course, if you're a Megadeth fan, for some reason you haven't heard this album yet, you need to check it out. Because not only would I say it's may be essential for thrash metal, but it's also essential for Megadeth fans. So let me know what you guys think of this album, Peace Sells But Who's Buying by Megadeth. It's obviously a classic, and if you love metal, there's a good chance that you have heard this album already, and once again, if you haven't, please do yourself a favor and check it out. So that's my review. If I were to give it a score, I'd probably give it probably either a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely a great album, so let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and take care.